Hello, welcome to today's episode entitled Deriving Meaning from Life. In the series entitled Karma, Destiny and Choice, we are looking at various topics that are of international human interest. And today, this episode has emerged because we have encountered individuals who often ask themselves and each other at various points in their life, does my life have any meaning? What is the value of life? To answer this very deep and fascinating question, I have in the studio Sister Denise, who is from the Brahma Kumaris and who has been practicing Raja Yoga meditation for over 45 years. Hello and welcome back.
Hello, Magala.
So, deriving meaning from life. Sister Denise, I think one of the worst feelings a human being can have is to feel that their life is meaningless. This has driven individuals to depression, aggression, homicide, suicide, etc. And it is not an easy question to answer. So how does one go about establishing what is the meaning of my life?
You know, there are certain moments where life feels more meaningful, and then other moments where life feels very meaningless. And it's very much connected with circumstances and how you interpret the circumstances that are going on. When everything is rosy, it feels very meaningful. But when it's not rosy and when things fall apart, then your sense of meaning disappears. So part of spiritual study and spiritual practice is that at those moments where everything is really bad, to look at what's known as the silver lining in the clouds.
Yeah.
And you need a special eye. We talk about the third eye, and the third eye is exactly that which can see what's not immediately visible, what's deeply hidden, intangible, and the meaning of something which doesn't seem to be meaningful is hidden because it's covered in negativity, it's covered in collapse. And so this is why it's difficult for people and why they react, as you described, homicide, suicide, depression, etc.
Are you saying that with every single negative, devastating, overwhelming, excruciating, painful episode that one experiences in life, that there is some benefit in it for the soul somewhere?
Yes. But you have to look...
Pause. There are many who would beg to differ because such experiences can and have been soul-destroying. That term exists for a reason.
Soul-destroying, body-destroying, society-destroying, very, very destructive circumstances which will come into the court system, you know. But when it comes to you personally, or when you come to look at it, it's happening around you, you have to see deep, 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 what does this really mean? What is the significance of this? Because it is true to say that there is nothing without significance. But we have to go deep to find it. And very few people can actually do that because it's a lot of work.
So walk us through how you find significance in a painful episode.
Well, one of the things that's going on in the world at the moment is war. And in war, people get killed, and that hurts. And you feel that was meaningless. Okay, they died for their country, they died for their cause, but still, you know, it feels like really bad. It doesn't seem to have any meaning. It seems to be gratuitous. In a situation like that, first you have to get through the pain of it, because you cannot find the meaning, I think, until you have moved through your pain. So finding the meaning can be a time-consuming process. So as you pull out from the pain of it and zoom out to the bigger picture and you set it in the historical context, one of the things that happens as a result of war is a massive shift in the social system, which cannot occur without war. Although war is the most terrible thing you can get, what comes after the war is very positive in certain areas. In other areas, whatever caused the war is still there. It'll cause another one. All of the people who die in war, when you look at them as souls, anyway, they reincarnate, so no one is lost, nothing is lost. I mentioned on another occasion that pain is a great teacher. Collapse, destruction, all of the awful things that people have to go through, contained within those is a potential to make you very strong as an individual and very experienced about the way things are. So part of it is to take away our naivety. These lessons that come from very terrible circumstances are very hard lessons, but on the very wide angle on civilization, we need to learn, and we need to learn something very, very deeply, that the way that we are conducting ourselves, the way we are excusing certain things, we have to shift the civilization, shift the society to a completely other way, which means we have to have a deep, deep look at ourselves and take personal responsibility. So sometimes you just need to know that without these very terrible things, there's nothing that's going to make you look at it. And without these very terrible things, there's nothing that's going to make you bring God into the equation, because people only connect with God as a last resort unless they happen to be devotional people and already spiritual. But this is not so many. Most people are operating at the level of sense gratification and all of the, what we call the vices, greed, anger, lust, attachment, ego, jealousy, whatever. People think this is life. The element of karma comes into it. Karma is also like a messenger. It's going to say, when you violate these laws, I'm going to make you really feel it until you wake up and stop doing that. This is also significant.
There are people who receive from life knock after knock after knock after knock. Everything that possibly could go wrong has gone wrong in all areas of their life. And such an individual may start wondering and really believing, because the evidence is staring him in the face, that there's something wrong with him or her. How does such an individual derive meaning from life when their own lives, never mind a war zone, their personal lives are a war zone? Their household resembles the front line.
Yeah, indeed. There is something wrong with them, because they have created this.
That's harsh, Sister Denise.
Well, this is why people don't really like karma, because it's harsh.
So there is something wrong with them.
Well, yeah, there is something wrong with them, because they have to have been doing actions that has created that in the past, on some other life, and they must be, even in the present, not getting the message, because the message is you have to settle, you have to pay, you have to endure. But usually people don't. They react against one knock and it sets them up for another knock, They don't get it right.
So what must that poor soul do then in that scenario? Just curl up and die?
They would probably like to, but that's not allowed, because...
Suicide is also against the law of karma.
Of course. You will survive it. Your body might not, but you will have to pay. People sometimes get born in really bad situations with not a very good body, not very good parents, etc. And this is also settlement of karma. The problem here is that when people see this, which is called misfortune, they feel sorry, they want to do something to help. Doesn't matter what you do, you cannot pay that person's karma for them. And even whatever relief you give them, because they have sanskaras, these tendencies, and karma, which has created all this mess, they will mess up the help that you give them. And we see this very often. So the person has to learn. What's happening is, this is the consequences of something that they did and something that they continue to do. So they need to take a deep, deep look at themselves and heal, you see. It's not a matter of someone is bad so they have to be punished, which is how most people look at it. But you also have to heal. So it does require compassion, but it also requires some kind of guidance, some kind of education, so that the person learns to bear their pain, to understand that they have brought it upon themselves and that they can get through it and finish it, that they can heal from all of the trauma that is associated with it.
It takes a lot of courage to even grasp the law of karma, does it not?
Yes.
How does one cough up such courage if you're overwhelmed by your own pain and sorrow?
Some people are stronger than others, and you may get a number of people in similarly bad situation, but only one of them will climb out of the hole that they got themselves in and really turn their handicap into something that makes them great, you know. And you do get stories like this, which give people hope. But every soul has a different amount of strength. Every soul has a different amount of love for God, love for humanity. Souls are of different qualities. For someone, a certain amount of pain is bearable. For someone else, it's not bearable. You can't really make prescriptions because you don't know how strong or how weak a soul is. You don't know somebody's karma, what they've done. When you do something negative, you are responsible and you will be held accountable. And this is what the law of karma says. And people say, well, I don't want to be held responsible for what I do. But you will be, whether you like it or not. So yes, the law of karma is harsh. And people have names for it that we will not mention.
Yeah, such a pity we can't mention those names.
Well, the law of karma, and that's why a lot of people would rather deny its existence, because they don't like it. But, you know, you can't deny the law of gravity.
True.
You know, when you fall down from a high place, you're going to break your bones, and that's because of the law of gravity. You can't just argue with the law of gravity and say, would you please go away, you're disturbing my bone structure. Pay attention, don't fall down, or don't jump off.
My mind is now going to people who don't have other forms of sorrow per se, but who have the feeling that my life is meaningless, or are plagued by the feeling of emptiness, who may or may not have all the trappings of success around them. How does one deal with that?
I would say charity.
Nice. Say more?
You need to do something good in order to have real meaning. I think one story that is quite well known is about Bill Gates and his wife. It was only when they really started doing philanthropic work that they started to have happiness. and meaning. Because when you benefit another person, it gives you the feeling of meaningfulness. If you get rejected, or you just say, okay, I have lots and lots of money, then what? You know, there's this then what? It doesn't mean anything. So what means something is when you can do something to benefit another human being. That gives you a lot of meaning. So philanthropy is a very important ingredient in acquiring meaning.
Benefit another human being. How does one draw the distinction between benefiting someone and interfering with their karma? Also a paradox?
It is a paradox, yes, it is. You need to know the difference. When you're interfering, you're not being asked. You see something, you go in there, you mess it up, or you get pushed out. That's interfering. Benefiting someone, you really understand what a person needs, and you cause it to arrive at them discreetly, without making them feel that you're, you know, raising them up from down, that you're giving charity. It's very important when you're benefiting someone not to act like a benefactor and be arrogant, you know, because that's insulting, that's demeaning, that's not benefiting. That makes a person feel bad about themselves. But when you just appear discreetly at the right time and do what's needed and disappear, this is very good.
Do good and disappear. That's...
Yeah, and do something good discreet. When you do something at a time of need, you just do it and go. You know what happens when you really benefit someone is you receive blessings. And these blessings are very meaningful. They create meaningfulness in your life. I think another aspect of meaning is that when you are living your life in relationship with the divine, and you are doing what you're doing because it's part of the divine task of bringing the world from a very messed up condition to a very beautiful condition, that has deep, deep meaning, and everything you do is part of that work, then your whole life has a lot of meaning. If you're just doing something for yourself, selfish, it doesn't have meaning, you know, because then what? Then you will die, then what? Nobody noticed even. But you do something together with God, together with the divine, which is making the whole world a better place, that is the most meaningful. Even if it's creating atmosphere, if it's making people have hope, and there are many, many different things, but it makes you feel that life is worthwhile, or that what you're doing is worthwhile.
I'm thinking now about the world full of takers and the handful of givers. There are many who, because of what they've taken, experience some benefit in what they've taken and are quite happy with that. And then there are givers who are the opposite. So how does meaning fit into that scenario?
Well, I think the givers will ultimately experience much more meaningfulness than the takers. So those who have a deep sense of meaning will be a minority. So you can choose to be part of that minority.
I really appreciated what you said in a prior episode, that every human being has the potential for greatness.
Mm-hmm.
That is oh so beautiful. How does the striving towards greatness bring meaning to one's life?
Because you are wanting to achieve something that's beyond the ordinariness of the appearance of your life as it is. You're transcending, you're doing something that is not, you don't have to do, but you do. You know, it brings something very powerful into it. Your striving is already good karma. You're benefiting someone is already good karma. You're maybe even showing people how to derive meaning from their life. There's lots and lots of good karma There's a connection between doing good karma and experiencing meaningfulness.
Within the Brahma Kumaris, there's lots of emphasis placed on virtues. How does the practice of virtues give meaning to one's life? I'm thinking now, Sister Denise, of the many mothers that I see within this organization who are extremely simple, beautiful individuals, but who ooze a sense of something that is rather special that one can't necessarily name.
Well, I would call it love.
Call it love. Okay?
You know, you make food with love, you give it with love, you make everything clean and beautiful and ordered with love. You know, this is pure karma, and this giving of love is creating meaning. It's very simple, it's virtuous, it's beautiful. When you add beauty to something, you also add meaning. You're bringing it a quality of harmony, and you're benefiting people, you see, with your virtues. It's nice.
Benefiting people with one's virtues. I think that's underestimated. And I've always loved this English expression, virtue has its own reward.
Yeah.
Yeah. How does just practicing virtues within your immediate sphere help bring meaning to one's own life and others?
Well, cultivating virtues is something that makes you what you want to be. The symbol for it is the rose. Virtues are very often symbolized as flowers. And together with virtue, I always say you have to have powers as well, because the virtue that you cultivate makes you soft and vulnerable. And there are occasions where there is a need for you to be able to take care of yourself in the face of aggression of some sort or another. So you need to have some thorns. So a rose with thorns is a good balance of being beautiful, virtuous, but don't take advantage of me because I have thorns also, you know. So if you don't know how to take care of yourself, you just become prey. And so in that case, virtue is makes you too vulnerable.
Prey, P-R-E-Y, not P-R-A-Y.
Probably both. You know?
That's funny. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we have to say goodbye to you right now. This discussion has been extremely fruitful, extremely so, because there are many listening to you who feel that their life is devoid of meaning. And I think every individual wants to know that they're of substance and their life is something of substance. So you have given them many tools and thoughts for ruminating upon, thinking upon. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thank you at home for joining us. I do hope that you are able to look at your life and ask yourself the question, does my life have meaning? And if not, Sister Denise has shared some very practical tools about how to actually give your life some meaning that will give it and yourself a sense of fulfillment. And within the series of the law of karma and destiny and choice, we hope that you have derived immense benefit from today's show. And take care. We will see you again soon. Goodbye.